Hey fellas, all right, we are back with the second part of this little neutral objective thing that I started last night with the air defense fighters, and now we're actually going to do the ground targets at the objectives. Okay, so last night we were talking about not all objectives are the same, right? So some of these objectives you're going to need to take out ground targets. So I'm actually going to be playing I'm just going to take the Super Corsair out, and I'm going to run through uh, the mining objective, the mining plan objective. Uh, what I'm going to show you is the armored, unarmored, and of course what you can and can't destroy with what you're carrying. We're going to actually look at the patch notes again. Number of capture points earned per target. So small ground targets are 15 to 20, medium ground targets are 20 to 50, large ground targets are 50 to 80. So remember that. Last night we were talking about air defense points for 40 points. So these are actually, they actually give you the points. Why they can't be just one number? Fucking wargaming. I don't know. If anybody finds out, you let me know. Now, you're going to, of course, recognize them when you get down there. Little house, big house, heavy AA guns. Unarmored targets are going to be a circle. So you can have unarmored targets inside next to armored targets. Usually the square is the armored target, but we'll show on the bottom down here. And usually the triangle is light AA guns. Now, when I was talking about unarmored targets, those are the circles inside the square. This is the heavy AA gun, which will be, you can destroy the AA mount. Some of these are going to be actual squares and not circles. It means that they're more like a pillbox. Very hard to kill. And of course, the armored target will have square over top of each of the building that's considered armored, and circles over top of each of the building that's not considered armored. Pretty easy, right? Triangle, of course, light AA. You can, of course, like I said, destroy the actual gun without actually taking the buildings out. Of course, it just stops it, but this isn't considered destroyed. Now, people are confused sometimes. Well, I shot a couple buildings, they blew up. Well, the thing about it is you have to destroy all the buildings inside the target for that target to be completely destroyed for you to get the influence points. So you got to remember that. So there can be, this one has, let's see, 4, 6, 9 buildings inside that. But you have to destroy all 9 buildings to get the influence points. Those are going to be armored targets and unarmored targets. Usually like the silos, the big concrete stuff, big concrete buildings, those are armored. Just the warehouses with like tents and stuff like that, those are going to be unarmored. You can tell by the circles and the squares. You'll get the hang of it, of course. I'm not a ground pounder by trade, I guess. I didn't really play a whole lot of that ground pounding in the pre 2.0. But now with this new game mode, you're going to have to start learning this stuff because, as we talked about last night, some of the objective points you need to take, you need to do damage other than just shooting down planes. So we've gone over that. Pretty simple. And I'll show you more into the actual gameplay, and you can figure it out on your own, right? Hopefully, I'm going to get a hold of Wargaming and have them send me something that's a little bit more, that clarifies some of the stuff that everybody's having questions about. Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. I'm going to actually just be flying this multi-role just because I like it. But anything that mounts ordnance, you have heavy fighters that mount ordnance, and you have ground attack planes mount ordnance. So what you want to make sure is that you go and check on your upgrades what kind of damage these things can do, right? So this one's 1500 damage with each rocket, so 8 rockets, obviously. Fair amount of damage you can do in a rocket spread. And you can carry the 2 500 pounds that do 4,300 damage per bomb, or you can carry the 1,600 pound bomb, which is 9,000 and a blast radius of almost 400 feet. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. This one, once again, Corsairs have has great guns, 420 millimeters, pumps out lots of lead. Like I said, each one of these are different. Say the P-38J carries a different amount of rockets, and of course 2 500-pound bombs. Same way with the attack planes. Some of them don't always carry just rockets, like the Russians will have rockets plus bombs, where for example, the Me265, which is the German Tier 7, will only have 2 bombs, right? Has some really nice cannons, but it only carries 2 bombs. Probably not quite as effective as, say, the Tier 7 Russian attack plane. It'll have, once again, rockets and bombs. And not all rockets are equal, so you need to be paying attention to that. These rockets on the MT262 are R4Ms, which are designed for taking on aircraft. Yeah, can they go down and you can spam all 24 at a target? Sure, but it seems kind of a waste. See, like the BVP-210, you have a choice. You can carry the 2 larger rockets that do 2,000 damage apiece, or of course you can carry the 24 Rams, 24 R4Ms, which are effective against aircraft, depending on your choice. This, of course, is a multi-role. I don't consider this a multi-role because it's, in my opinion, this is a more of a light fighter, but whatever, they call it a multi-role. So make sure you are familiar with the equipment that you're carrying and the ordnance you are carrying on your heavy fighter, your multi-role, or your ground attack plane. So we're going to flip back here to the Corsair, and we're going to make a run on the training room and see what we get. So pick up the training room, and we were going to push battle. Alright guys, back with the Super Corsair, and we have a mining plant right here, objective. So I'm going to drop in on this and I will show you a few things here. If you're not familiar with the whole ground attack thing and what you need to do, we're going to make a run on this thing. So now people, it's kind of crap because they just give you the actual, they just give you these little things like that. It doesn't tell you anything. If you do push Alt, you can see, okay, that says small armored ground target. This one is medium armored target. This one, whoops, flip over on this thing here, and we'll just make a run through here and look at the different targets. This one's going to be of course, if you heavily armored ground target. All right, so we're going to flip back over again, and this is just by pushing the Alt key and laying your reticle, your aiming reticle, over the ground target. Will tell you, of course, what it is, which is oftentimes beneficial. This one's going to be a armored workshops. Doesn't really give you much there, does it? This one's a medium ground target. I'm assuming these ones that are not labeled medium or small are considered the large ones. So that right there is probably going to be a heavily armored ground target. Yep, this one's going to be probably heavily armored too. So these are going to be your large ones. Any of these ones that say heavily armored and that don't actually say mediums, that one's going to be an armored workshop. That's probably a large target. This is probably going to be a small ground target. Okay, this one's probably going to be, we'll see here, flipping around here. Yeah, don't run into trees. It's not pretty. But yeah, so you push the Alt key, hover over the deal, and it'll give you what kind of target you're actually going to be shooting at. Alright, so we got an idea what these all ground targets are. I'm going to go for that big one right there in the center. Pull back a little bit and drop my 1,600 pound bomb. And we're going to go see how many we get. Oh, nearly. Alright, looks like we took out at least half of it. But unfortunately, unless you take out the other half, it actually doesn't count. So I'm back in here again. Start using some rockets. Alright, so that's a complete destruction of that heavily armored large target, which looks like to be worth about probably 70, maybe 80 points. Pretty nice, huh? Alright, if you're not familiar with this, you need to be getting rid of all your rockets for them to rebuild. So I'm going to launch my last rocket right here. And now we were talking about the circles and squares. The circles are the lightly armored targets, which means they you can easily take them out with your cannons. So those buildings right there that I'm aiming at, you'll see the silos next to them. The buildings are actually circles, so they're easily destroyed. But as you can see, me hitting the actual the round ones, the actual warehouses, were easily taken out. Those armored ones with my cannons are not going to be taken out very easily. Let's see if we can make a couple more passes here. It requires a fair amount of passes. So it's best to maybe let your ordnance rebuild back up again before you do it. I'm going to be aiming at that guy right next. So now you notice that one has 3 squares and 3 rounds. So you're going to have armored and lightly armored. My bomb's going to be up here shortly. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dropping my bomb on that target right there. But I'm going to be aiming for the armored part. I think I might have dropped a little late. So I'm trying to hit the armored part of that target. So when I make my next pass, I'm going to have... Oh, wow. Those are some big bombs. Took out the whole target. Didn't even need to come back and make a pass on that. So once again, I'm going to have to sit and maybe rebuild up a little bit here. These are all armored targets, which means I'll be making a whole crap ton of passes. And of course, everything respawns. If you are not aware of that, the longer it takes you to take these objectives, the longer it takes for them to, it actually respawns the buildings, right? So I'm going to wait here until my rockets all rebuilds, and I'll flip back over here and see if I can take a little bit more damage off here before I come back with a rocket load. So my rockets are rebuilt, and I'm going to flip over here and finish knocking out those 3 silos right there so I can finish off that actual target. Nice. Pretty simple, right, guys? I hope you guys understand what I was trying to say here about the ordnance, understanding which target is good, which targets you can take out with your guns, what targets you can take out with your bombs, which targets obviously you should use your bombs on, and what you should use your rockets on. I would fly over by the garrison, but I'm probably going to get shot down. So these things are already starting to respawn, and they respawn back as ours. And you can see everything turned blue, and yay, we're making the superiority points. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll be having some more up. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. PM me in game, whatever you got to do.